Here with reaction to the Trump verdict is the host of the Grassroots Truthcast, our good friend Gene Valentino. Gene, welcome back to State of the Nation.
Glad to be with you.
You know, isn't it funny that we had a man run for office based on I'll get Trump, and look what happened. And now they're trying to gin up a controversy that is literally a tempest in a teapot over the flags that Justice Alito flew in front of his house in 2021 and 2023. Calling us a banana republic's an insult to banana republics.
Yeah, I've listened to your precursor that came in just before the lead in here, and Timothy and Brian, you did a great job of putting today's verdict against Trump into balance. The NRA did win on a 9-0 vote before the Supreme Court, and so just the scales of justice don't always prevail, I guess, the way we would like. But there is no question that today is historic, and it stands apart from everything we're used to. We're a proud nation, a nation that has built its foundation on justice and balance and equity and the right of free speech, and that Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and 25 more amendments that follow. But today, something more serious happened. The wheels fell off the cart of justice because the select few have tried to manipulate and control based on a vendetta, based on vitriol, the outcome of an election by trying to gin up a strategy to keep Trump in the courtroom and hopefully, from their point of view, behind bars. Donald Trump is the strongest man I've ever met. And so said Jeanine Pirro, a judge in New York and a prosecutor in New York. It's a sad day. I'm truly saddened. I'm impressed with how well Donald Trump took it. I saw no vitriol per se. I saw no revenge from Donald Trump today. I saw a man complaining and rightfully angry about justice being compromised today. And as you said in the precursor, you had a jury who has been, I don't blame the jury. They were instructed to follow certain rules. Now, I read the 55 pages of instructions that the judge gave to the jury, and I'd be spinning around in a circle trying to figure out which end was up if I had to reread that again, because it's confusing at best. Yet the jury somehow, for some reason, in some way, decided to give a verdict of guilty on all 34 counts lodged against Donald Trump, which have to this day no evidence that's clear and convincing. The only evidence came from a convicted felon who is a known liar and a prostitute. And that's the basis by which we, as a jury, as a judicial system, are going to take down a president who has done more for the state of New York than all of them put together, who has built that beautiful city, who has more real estate and different venues in that city that he's created over the decades with his family. And this is how we treat him? This is what we do to a man who has no convincing evidence? We run off a haphazard guilty verdict against him? The courtroom was a joke and was truly hurtful when we see that media came back and told us that the other media in the courtroom were giggling and laughing with joy about the outcome. Oh, we need some constitutional amendments, all right. You've heard me talk about my second Bill of Rights. We need some that put a clamp on some of this reckless behavior. The Justice Department, gentlemen, has shown their true colors in the state of New York. And Biden is at the top of the list. This is now warfare lawfare. And this did nothing but guarantee Donald Trump's reelection in November. And you're going to watch Biden. Just moments ago, we heard that Biden has canceled his news conference coming up in a matter of an hour or so, and and Alvin Bragg, the DA, is going to be giving some sort of comments we'll hear about in the next hour or so. But it's inconceivable to me. This is nothing more than a scheme to steal the next election, which was underway through the Soros conspiracy orchestrated by Biden, but preceded by Obama and Hillary Clinton. This didn't just happen overnight, folks. This is a strategy, and it's now incumbent upon all of us. The sleeping bear has been poked one time too many, and America must rise up again and take back this nation as we did just prior to 1776.
Well said, Gene. Gene, I'm afraid it goes even higher. I'm afraid that the deep state, the CIA, the international bankers, the CFR, and most sadly, our military general corps signed on to this plan in 2020 at the end of 2019 because they knew what was going on. They sent a letter and said, no, we're not going to do anything. So to me, that really is an extra layer of scary that's added on top of it, because I don't see Republicans standing up right now, at least not on Capitol Hill. And
well, the Republicans must stand up, and they must, and we're seeing some misgivings even with the Democrats. Many Democrats are switching party and becoming Republican, and some of the people on the fence who didn't know if they were Trump supporters or not are now going with Trump's. They think this is one step too far. This is nothing short of malicious prosecution, and by the way, that's a crime. And when this is all settled,
and it's also a civil count. And there were indications today that the Trump team will be suing Alvin Bragg for malicious prosecution. But to your point, Gene, about Democrats leaving their party, that happened today on the floor of the California legislature. A Democrat state senator excoriated her party, saying she wants no more part of protecting pedophiles and child and sex traffickers.
I hope America wakes up. This is not about Republican and Democrat. This is not really about Donald Trump. This is about the protection of our presidency and our constitutional republic. And I bring forward again, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. We need a few amendments, gentlemen. We can't wait till November's election for just this reason. Just this reason, we need a supreme magistrate system in place to correct the wrongs that you've just witnessed today. This is historic. It'll go down in history as a blemish on our good tidings we've done historically. This will occupy.
And Gene, we've got to leave it there. But where can people find you, and where can they get some more information on your second Bill of Rights?
Yeah, please go to www.genevalentino.com and just click on the toolbar at the top, the second Bill of Rights. Rudyard Kipling said, walk with kings, yet not lose the common touch, and look at victory and failure and treat those two imposters just the same. That's the courage.
Gene, thank you for that. And before you go, we got another minute or so here. I just wanted to read you some of the stuff going on Twitter and get your reaction before you have to go. Tucker Carlson has a tweet right now that is blowing up, 3.1 million views. It's only an hour old. Import the world. Import the third world. Become the third world. That's what we just saw. This won't stop Trump. He'll win the election if he's not killed first. But it does mark the end of the fairest justice system in the world. Anyone who defends this verdict is a danger to you and your family. Pretty stark words by Tucker there.
I couldn't agree more. And I do think Trump will be smart enough to protect himself from any hostile actions, physical, violent actions, that is. I think it's more important that we as a nation, Republican and Democrat, our citizens, step up and defend this constitutional republic. and do so with look, Donald Trump's the only guy, he's the only guy defending this nation for you and me. I said before, failure to defend the rights of others may someday result in your rights now being defended, not being defended. Now is the time to step up and defend us, to defend this nation. If Donald Trump has the balls to do it for you and me, let's do it for him and this nation.
We absolutely have to. And I think Trump was correct. The ultimate verdict is going to be delivered on November 5th. I don't think Democrats can steal enough votes this time to stem the tide of outrage that's coming their way.
Election reform's necessary, but I believe you're right, Timothy. There'll be a tsunami at this election now. This result just guaranteed Donald's reelection.
Yeah, Gene. General Mike Flynn weighed in also. He said, they're not coming after Trump or you at Tucker Carlson or me. They're after America. They want to dominate America and all Americans. That's what communists do.
We the people, not the select few. How many times have we said it? We the people. That's what makes us such a beautiful nation, which distinguishes us from the autocratic elite people at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Gene, maybe if you can stick with us through the break here, we might have a couple more minutes we can spend with you. So we'll be right back with more State of the Nation on today's News Talk TNT.
Hi folks, Kent Emmons here, founder and CEO of Crave News. We all know that the 2024 election will be decided by the independent-minded 18 to 54-year-old voters, a massive audience that has totally been left out of the real news cycle. Currently, the right-leaning news outlets are programmed to a much older audience, and with the nutty propaganda that the left-wing networks try to pass as news, it's no wonder that we have a demented corpse in the White House, Kamala Harris and Adam Schiff are hailed as heroes, and the younger crowd actually thinks there are 73 genders. There's a big market for a news network that targets a younger audience by serving up real news in a way that's raw, edgy, and unfiltered. Crave News is about to launch, and this is your opportunity to become a founding shareholder. Get ready to write down this number, and I'll text you a link to more information. Become a founding shareholder in Crave News and own a piece of the next generation of news. Call 615-819-5535. That's 615-819-5535. Crave News, real news, no BS.
Hi, my name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. I'd love for you to learn more about Patriot Mobile, www.patriotmobile.com/Gene V. More importantly, I'd like you to be a subscriber to his show. I mean, his Truthcast is amazing. And if you get to listen to some of them, you'll never go back. I really encourage you to come watch it.
Gene, on the flip side of just what we're seeing here, can you imagine what this is going to do to all of the rallies and interviews and everything that Trump has planned between now and September? I mean, this is going to be huge no matter how it goes and how it turns out.
The tsunami is not an overstatement, Brian. I got to tell you, we thought there'd be 20,000 people in the Bronx. It was over 107,000 show up there, so that makes your point. I think going forward, there's going to be rallies. The Biden White House just came out with a statement, absent Biden's speech, saying that the only way to beat Trump is at the ballot box, as if to distance themselves from these antics. Well, you don't get away with doing that, Mr. Biden. Not when you've got a revolving door at the White House, bringing in Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, and another half dozen Democrats that were working behind the scene under your direction to take out Trump. It's not going to hold up. That's a cheap shot and a last-minute attempt to distance yourself from the today's verdict. Not going to go,
Gene, it's
guy.
even worse than that. It's even worse than that. DOJ sent a prosecutor to work in Alvin Bragg's office. The prosecutor in the trial had just left the Department of Justice. This was collusion going right into the Oval Office.
Yeah,
Collangelo. And to use your tsunami allegory, remember what happens in a tsunami. You know a tsunami is coming when the ocean edge withdraws back into the sea, and it looks like a massive low tide. If you ever see the ocean recede back out to sea, run for
Yep.
high ground, because that means a tsunami is coming. Well, what ocean has receded into the sea of late? Black and Latino America are leaving the Democrat Party in droves. They're coming out for Donald Trump in droves. I think the Democrats see that sea receding from their shores, and they know that there's a tsunami coming on November 5th.
Oh, they do. They do. But, you know, poll just released that was just handed to me is that 67% say they are not going to change their mind, and there's no distance. 17% say they're less likely to vote for Trump. 15% say they're more likely to vote for Trump. And 67% say there's no difference. I'm still voting for Trump.
Yeah. And this whole I got to back up a second. This we'll read the verdict on September 11th thing. My goodness, could it be more on the nose than that? I mean, you know, many Americans mark September 11th as the date that the globalist crowd sort of planted their flag on our soil. And, you know, to have this happen on that anniversary, I think, you know, a lot of Americans will feel like that is yet another, you know, sort of another planting of a flag. You know, maybe the UN, WEF, WHO, Ghoul Council, you know, 2030 agenda flag, pretty much. The end of populism, the end of America, quite frankly.
Yes, there are no
Well, I do-
coincidences, but I don't think that sentencing hearing is going to be held on September 11th. I think that there's going to be an injunction staying that. But look, this isn't about a guilty verdict. This is about being able to campaign with Donald Trump in orange jumpsuits, with the Krasensteins being able to go on X and have pictures of him behind bars. You know, this is revenge for all the memes we made in 2016 for Hillary, Benghazi Clinton with her 33,000 emails and private server. That's all this is. Eventually, this verdict will not stand. I am 100% convinced of that. But as you said earlier, Brian, by the time it's all settled, it won't matter politically. It'll be just the Democrats again saying, yeah, we did it. So what? What are you going to do about it?
Well, it's funny that the first debate between Biden and Trump will come a few days after the July 11th sentencing on this case. And so here you have Eileen Cannon down in Florida postponing any sentencing until after the election. And you've got Marshawn here pushing a sentencing up prior to the debate on July 11th. This is nothing more than Democrat last-ditch efforts to steal an election again, and I think they're beginning to see that they're not going to be able to do it at the ballot box this time.
I hope not. I certainly hope not. I mean, what the concern is that whole, like, you know, the platform of get Trump and anything but Trump, never Trump. You know, it's become more than just a you know, a mindset in the public for those that are, you know, beer bonging MSNBC into their third eye 24/7. It's a government mandate. It seems to be a deep state mandate. So I don't know. I think that's why people like Tucker are, you know, pointing out the obvious final solution potential there. But I hope Timothy's right, and I hope that's not something that we see. No one, well, I shouldn't say no one. People have been saying they want to see that for years, but they're crazy people. But the majority of good Americans don't want to see that, even if they don't like Donald Trump, I would wager.
Well, it's nothing more than a manipulation. I heard a characterization today of it being called a magic show, crucifying the president. But it's really crucifying all of us and the presidency. They might get their cheap shot in on Donald Trump. They were enjoying the vitriol against Donald Trump. In return, Donald Trump showed humility. He didn't show any revenge. he felt sad when he gave his coming out of the courtroom today. And he talked about the breach to America, the presidency, and the American system. He deserves to wear this as a badge of honor. I feel sad for Donald Trump, but I feel worse for the United States, because a select few have maliciously prosecuted him. And as you said a minute ago, Timothy, that malicious prosecution, that selective prosecution, is a crime. It's a crime whether it happened to Donald Trump. And someone in the correcting of this judicial system needs to, all of those folks need to be worried right now, because the door is going to swing back the other way, and there's going to be justice, and they're going to have to pay the price for the selective prosecution the criminal prosecution they've employed against Donald Trump. Oh, they got their jollies today, and a lot of the Whoopi Goldbergs and the Adam Schiffs and Jerry Nadlers, and where's Wasserman Schultz and Waters, Maxine Waters, and the rest of them they've gone silent, haven't they? You're not hearing anything from any of those Democrats right now. You're hearing a lot from conservatives primarily, Republicans primarily, supporters of Trump primarily, that remain outraged over what has happened. But when you
look, those
Timothy,
people those people you just mentioned are all despicable human beings, but they're brilliant politicians. They know enough to keep their mouths shut on this one, at least today. They'll probably come out in the next few weeks, but they're smart enough to know that piling on right now is not a good look. We've got more with Gene Valentino right after these headlines from today's News Talk, TNT.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Our guest, Gene Valentino, can, of course, be found at genevalentino.com and over at the Grassroots Truthcast. Now, Gene, sorry, I messed up that date earlier. September 11th was as not as significant as I thought. June 11th is what we're looking at next. What do you think happens? July 11th. My goodness, I have too much data coming at me today. This is a lot. What do you think happens after July 11? Is Trump in an orange jumpsuit in a like secluded cell with Secret Service guys with long beards, or what? How does this actually play out in your opinion?
Well, there's several options. He can just be slapped on the hands and be given some sort of probation. On the other extreme, he can have sentencing to the extreme where he actually serves time for the crimes on these 34 counts. I think they're going to be very hard pressed to put a man who has no prior record into behind bars. But Mr. Joe Biden gets to giggle like he did once before about Donald Trump being too busy being in court. Now Biden gets to giggle about this conviction. But remember my 3 Ds: divert, deflect, and distract. So what's going to be distracted from? Hunter Biden's court cases coming up in June and then again in September.
Yep.
So you're going to see another deflection away from the Hunter Biden criminal activity and an exacerbation of Donald Trump being a convicted felon until it's appealed, until it's reversed. Until
And the new
then,
book too. Sorry, Gene, but there's a new book coming out from the mother of Hunter's illegitimate child that goes unrecognized to this day by the Biden administration. I was hearing yesterday about that is the one that's going to require the 3Ds big time. I mean, I'm sure they're not happy about that coming out.
oh no, no, there's going to be enough. The door is swinging back the other way. The question, how far will it be swung back the other way? And how strong will the Republican Party and the conservative moderates be in changing, not sweeping it under the rug once Trump's verdict is overturned, but what will they do to impact our Constitution to remedy it from future such wrongdoings? We need constitutional amendments to fix what has been consuming our time in the headlines here, this verdict.
We absolutely do,
so,
but those are systemic changes that need to be made, and they'll take a while.
Yes.
What I would do politically, if I were on Dilly Mean Team or United Spot, or if I were Stephen Miller or on the Trump campaign, I would get out there with a remake. Remember that great scene from jail in Goodfellas? Right? When they're sitting there and they're making sauce and somebody comes in with an overcoat and he's pulling out salamis and he's pulling out cheeses and he got a box of lobsters and now we're good to go. We get the bread. We got the bread. You got the wine. We got the wine. Okay, let's eat. I would have Steve Bannon. I would have Donald Trump. I would have all the guys that have been a victim of lawfare, right? All the guys in prison. And I would redo that scene and I'd put it out as a campaign video. You gotta, Vince Lombardi had it right. The best defense is a good offense.
It's time for Republicans to learn what legal offense means. And we need to do so aggressively to not only get us back to those constitutional amendments, but to your point, Timothy, to fix some of the things that can be fixed immediately. When Trump gets in, there's so many things he's going to do overnight we can save for a different time to discuss. But there must be a remedy. There must be a criminal countervailing response that Judge Jeanine Pirro and other legal experts have talked about that must now take the news headlines, that involves the criminal prosecutions of Letitia James, D.A. Bragg, who is giving some sort of announcement right now on TV, Fannie Willis, Judge Merchan, pick another 6 people directly, Collangelo, directly involved with the help of the President of the United States, Joe Biden, in orchestrating a criminal prosecution, an illegal criminal prosecution through the abuse of our existing justice system. If these moderates and conservatives don't do it, then I do think we've lost our touch. And you said it's swinging in the right direction earlier when you talked about a Democrat in the legislature of California going Republican after chewing out the Democrats in the legislature. I think this isn't the first one. We have other Democrats who are now Republicans serving in Congress that have done a great job at trying to awaken the sleepy bear of the Republicans. In the same light, Mitch McConnell's got to go. I strongly support Rick Scott because that's the leadership we need to move that mountain and make the changes necessary in the United States Congress.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Gene, we got to leave it right there. Thank you for being with us, and thanks for staying extra time to cover this insane breaking news. We knew this day might come, and it is here, and we're very happy you are here with us to help break it down. I don't know that we can walk away from this feeling good, but maybe we walk away from it feeling a little bit better. And you know what? We're still in the fight, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to have you back on to talk about this real soon as it develops, Gene.
Thank you for having me. Sometimes things get worse before they get better. We're at that point.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. This is State of the Nation on today's News Talk. Stay tuned. This is TNT.
Thanks for joining us for Gene Valentino's Grassroots Truthcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and God bless America.